So Michael Carrick has been in charge of Manchester United for 2 games since taking charge as interim boss. In those 2 games, he's faced the 2 best teams in England, yet conceded just 0.77 XG from open play, all whilst playing an incredibly confident and entertaining style of football. It's been a transformation under Michael Carrick, and I for one am really impressed. Now, I was a little bit torn whether to put United in the black shirts or the red shirts for this particular video, but I thought I would go for the black shirts because we were so good against Arsenal in this kit, and I think what we saw against Arsenal was also similar to what we saw against Manchester City in a lot of ways, but also very different in a lot of ways as well. But a big thing that has impressed me over the 2 games is the intent of Manchester United. United have been a team that have been confident and a team that have wanted to play with the ball. Now, yes, of course, at times we have had to go long. We saw that from Lomans against Manchester City, and we saw that against Arsenal as well. We've got to remember we're facing the 2 best teams in the Premier League right now, so we can't have it all our own way. But what I have loved is that under pressure in difficult moments when the opposition have been on top, the United players have shown character, and the manager has given them the freedom really to take risks and to be confident and to express themselves on the ball. This is here 12 minutes 58 against Arsenal, where Arsenal have been on top for the start of the game, but United show courage to play out from the back in the first phase and get their reward for it. Here again on the 21st minute, just after a wave of Arsenal pressure, United take their time, they get on the ball, they want to get the ball down on the floor and play out from the back. And for me, I said it last week and I will say it again, that is a clear message of confidence and faith from the manager. And as a player, that has got to mean the world. United aren't just getting the ball away and hoping for the best. When we have the moment, we're showing confidence in our own ability to play to our own strengths. Lisandro Martinez, Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes, these are players that should be playing with lots of touches on the ball, heavy involvement. And Michael Carrick has given them the freedom to do that, even under really stressful circumstances. Now, the thing that's probably impressed me the most under Michael Carrick isn't something we've actually discussed yet on the channel, but that is the multi-threat that Manchester United suddenly seem to have out of nowhere. If you think over the past 18 months or so, one of the big criticisms has been that United are very slow on the ball and also very, very predictable, particularly under Ruben Amorim. We were a side which were very rigid with our shape, we had a very fixed idea, and basically the threat that we carried was out wide. If we couldn't move out wide, then we couldn't really move anywhere, and it made United incredibly predictable. The opposition knew where to trap us. Suddenly under Michael Carrick, we've got something very different, because United are always offering different ways to break down the block. And the reason why this is so important for me personally is because it's how I think of Manchester United. I say this all the time in live streams. In my opinion, Manchester United should be a team that take the game to the opposition, that play to our own strengths and ask questions of the opposition. Force those opposition defenders to make a decision, because when you're trying to make a decision, you might well make a mistake. And we saw that against Arsenal. Moments where the defenders did make the call wrong, but they're making the wrong call because they're trying to make so many decisions at once. And that's because United are asking so many questions. And like I said, that's different ways of playing through, around, or over the block. So moments where we can move ourselves around the block is where we can move a little bit wider. United are using a lot of width at the moment. So let's say Lisandro Martinez has got the ball, and he really is sort of the main man in all of this. He sort of dictates it from this middle centre-back position. But there's that moment where he can go round, because Luke Shaw is wider than Lisandro Martinez, and Dorgu, or whoever is on the wing, is even wider than that. So we've always got that option. If we want, we could go around the opposition. So that's one way which we could play against a block, and the opposition, whether that's City or Arsenal, are very aware of that. So if we do try and go round, they've got to be ready to defend that. The other thing that we can now do, though, is we can play through the middle of the pitch. And this is something that we really haven't seen much before Michael Carrick came into the club. But again, this is where Lisandro Martinez is so key. Look at his pass map from the weekend. He can now play through the middle of the pitch because United want to. So that's now 2 threats. The opposition know that we could go around them, but they also know that we could go through them. The other thing that we've got is constant runners on the last line. So we can go round the opposition, we can go through the opposition, but also we can go over. Whether that's Dorgu making a run from out wide and Bumo through the middle, or Bruno Fernandes with an arriving movement, Manchester United are offering 3 different threats. And for the opposition, I just don't know how you defend that. Now, we do just need to take one moment to interrupt the video and thank you guys for the support so far this month. It's been absolutely mind-blowing, the growth that we have seen on the channel this season, this month. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed recently. It makes a Manchester United fan very, very happy. And then with these results as well, I mean, what a time to be alive. Now, I just want to try and explain this a little bit clearer by getting some examples on the screen, because as you look at it here, you mark all of these Manchester United players. The structure isn't particularly obvious. There isn't a clear shape that we are trying to play. You know, if you were to try and line these guys up with lines connecting them, you'd end up with a bit of a weird system. There's that big gap in the middle of the pitch. But when we look at it in a slightly different way, we see a different picture. We see different options for Lisandro Martinez on the ball. He could go around the block. We can see Luke Shaw at the bottom there. Because Luke Shaw is nice and wide, Licha could roll that ball to the left, and we could try and go round Arsenal. You can also see those two players I've got marked in the centre of the pitch, evidence that we could go through Arsenal, through the middle of the pitch. But also, Bryan Mbeumo at the top there, making that run in behind, so we could go over if we wanted to. We've got it in another moment here. Again, it's Lisandro Martinez on the ball. That's a player that you want having plenty of touches. He could come around the Arsenal mid-block to Luke Shaw and then to Bruno Fernandes. He could go over the mid-block because we can see Dorgu just slightly cut off on this picture, but making that run in behind into that space in behind the Arsenal defence. Or, again, we've got those two players marked in the middle of the pitch. If we wanted to, we could manipulate the ball and go through Arsenal. Again, here, Lisandro Martinez picks up the ball and there's multiple options. Luke Shaw to the left side, we could roll it that way, we could go through the middle to Patrick Dorgu, or we could go over the top to Mbeumo and now Diogo Dalot. And we saw this last week as well. And I think the thing I really noticed rewatching this game again this morning was it's really all about Lisandro Martinez. You see, when Harry Maguire has got the ball here, you know, the team is relatively stationary. We're almost waiting to get into our next phase. The second Lisandro Martinez picks up the ball in this position, it comes to life. And then if you think back to the clips we've just looked at, they were all when Licha had the ball. And now here, Lisandro Martinez picks up possession. And that's the cue for these guys to get moving. You can see that wide ball. We could go to our fullback. We could go round Manchester City. We've got three players in the middle, so we could go through City. Or on this occasion, we go over City with the ball to Bruno Fernandes. It's multi-threat. And for the Manchester City defenders last week, for the Arsenal defenders this week, you're trying to make so many split-second decisions. Do I go with this guy? Do I go with that guy? There's a runner in behind. It's so difficult to defend, and it's because United are asking questions. Something else which clearly carried over from the City game into this game was something that we discussed at length last week, and that is close proximity players. Players really close to each other, but particularly when the ball moves out wide, really overloading one side of the pitch to try and isolate the other side of the pitch, which was something that we did anticipate when Michael Carrick was first sort of rumoured to take the job. We did our research on Middlesbrough and his former spell as interim manager at United, and this was something that we spoke about, and we've seen it in the first two games where United are trying to move the ball to one side, let's say to Luke Shaw on the left, our fullback. Kobbie Mainoo's going to get over there, Bruno Fernandes is going to get over there, Dorgu's going to get over there as well. And we speak about this all the time on the channel, we've covered it a lot. When you overload one side of the pitch, the other team, they have to match you. They have to match you. They have to bring defenders over. They can't just let you have that overload. So these opposition players, they sort of trundle over and they get themselves into this defensive position where they're nice and compact. They're all on one side. But what United have, I think particularly in this five, especially if you were to put Cunha in the place of Dorgu, is extremely good technical players. If we're talking right at the start of the video about United wanting to play, being confident to play and being comfortable playing, these guys epitomise that. Their ability to get on the ball and operate in tight spaces to combine with each other. We saw last week some of the movements of Kobbie Mainoo to free up passing lanes to find teammates. This is all incredibly important. But then, of course, always what we're trying to do is open up that big switch to the far side of the pitch where now we can attack with a bit more speed and just way more space. Now, once again, we've got examples of this from this week, but also last weekend as well, which is proof that this is something that Carrick is really asking of his players. You can see it initially here with Luke Shaw. He lifts the ball down the left side. Bruno Fernandes pops the ball into the centre to Casemiro. So this is the wide players on one side of the pitch combining. They weren't actually quite as close on this occasion, but the technical level was so good that they made up for that with their quality on the ball. And then when Casemiro picks the ball up in the middle, he's a great long passer. And if we do get that long pass off, we're now 2 versus 2. And this is what attackers live for. This is what attackers do, you know, every day, all week in training. They attack in these situations. 1 versus 1s, 2 versus 2s, 3 versus 3s. Can you make something happen? Can you attack? Can you hurt the opposition defence? Can you work with your teammates to cause those problems? And, you know, when you've got a player with the quality of Ahmad, you certainly can. But I think we saw it even more last weekend against Manchester City. if we just sort of split the pitch into a section here, United actually have more players than City in this position. There's 6 United players. And again, if you look at some of the guys we've got in there, there's Bruno Fernandes, there's Amat, there's Kobbie Mainoo. Casemiro's a very experienced passer. Maguire's a good progressive passer. Dalot is really good with his movement in these situations. So there's lots of players really close, and City have to get over, but we can just switch it. We can just switch it to the far side. And again, we've now got this 2 versus 2. One more. Close proximity on the left. And this is where we are talking about extreme technical quality. Manchester United Football Club having good players. No matter what anyone says, these are good players. 4 players here. But the last thing you expect is this pass from Lisandro Martinez. It is an absolute joke. He has been a key player in these first 2 games. He splits the line to Bruno Fernandes. And the effect always is that the opposition try and get round you. They collapse around the ball. The second you play a progressive pass, the opposition go into that little panic moment where they're like, oh bugger, we've been played through, we've got to react, we've got to recover. So they quickly try and get round the ball. But that just opens up the room for Kobbie Mainoo, who has this space and then plays a fantastic long pass. And again, United now 2 versus 2. It's quite simple, but it's incredibly effective. Now, just a final thing that I wanted to discuss is the synergy of these Manchester United players. Now, a label which I think is thrown about too much, but it has been at this football club for the past few years, is the players don't look like they have played together before. We've seen it before, those certain games where it looks like a load of strangers thrown on a pitch together and they don't really complement each other very well, they don't link up very well. That's suddenly changed. What United are doing is synergizing their movement with teammates, and rather than standing in space, they are opening space for someone else to go into. And I think there's a big difference. For example, if you have, let's say, Patrick Dorgu high wide on the left-hand side, imagine the defenders are deeper, but let's say he receives the ball and he's already in this position. That's where he starts. He's standing there, receives the ball, he's got to go 1 versus 1. It doesn't really suit him. It's not really his strength. But if you ask him to arrive into that space, running onto the ball, then suddenly it's a very, very different threat. And we are seeing those sorts of dynamics all over the pitch. I think the 2 up front, the 2 forwards, really sort of summarise this quite nicely. The amount of times that Bruno Fernandes is coming towards the ball as Mbeumo is moving away. And the reason why that's so effective is because, again, the centre-backs have a decision to make. Do I step off with Mbeumo, but I'm now going to give Bruno lots of room? Or do we go really tight on Bruno, but risk the fact that Mbeumo might now run in behind and have loads of space to play into? It's these games we're almost playing with the opposition. Another one of those sort of countering movements that we can see is quite obviously in the wide areas. You see, what United are doing is being quite clever. The 2 wide players, whoever it is, are always playing on a different line to each other. So if it's the fullback and a winger, or if it's a centre-back and a fullback, they are never in a straight line like this, where the opposition can pressure from behind. There's always that slight sort of diagonal feel to the pass. It's only a short 6-yard pass, but it's a slightly diagonal pass, rather than a perfectly vertical one. And that helps the way that United move forward round the outside of the Arsenal block. But also, it helps us with our movements. It helps these players arrive into space. We saw it for the goal yesterday. Dorgu starts arriving into the space in the middle of the pitch because he knows that Luke Shaw is going round on the overlap. So Dorgu doesn't start in the middle. Dorgu could have, from the start of the move, gone and stood there, but Arsenal would have picked him up. But because he starts wider, and then as Luke Shaw comes round on the overlap, then Dorgu comes inside. We're almost constantly moving. And again, if you're constantly moving, you're constantly asking questions that Arsenal did not have the answer to. And we even see it in midfield as well, where someone like Kobbie Mainoo will go and overload the ball side, whilst Casemiro will come into the middle. So our players are always moving out of space, and then someone else is moving into it. And again, it's just constantly shuffling the opposition about. They're constantly forced to go into different areas, and it's just a nightmare really, and it's great to watch from Manchester United. Now, don't get me wrong, I am very aware of the fact that there will be very different challenges coming up. Challenges which will not suit United so much. There will be games where we have less space, more of the ball, and there's more impetus on us to go and attack the opposition. But based on what we've seen so far under Michael Carrick, he will relish that opportunity. Because whilst we may not have had loads of possession in the past 2 games, at every single opportunity we have tried to play on the front foot. We have tried to take the game to the opposition. And we've seen in a lot of those ideas there that we are the team asking questions, which is why I've been so happy with Michael Carrick's work so far. It's why I've been so impressed, so impressed how quickly he's made these changes and how quickly he has made the team a better side. It is always my big criticism that United sort of would sit back under Ruben Amorim a lot of the time and be passive and be cautious, and the opposition would ask all the questions. Suddenly the script has been flipped and United are on the front foot. That doesn't always mean possession, but we're on the front foot, we're asking questions, we're forcing those opposition players to make decisions, and the football looks absolutely fantastic. Big tests coming in the weeks, coming up, but we've just faced two very big tests and passed with flying colours. And this United team is going to get better. Michael Carrick spoke about adding more layers to his idea, and hopefully that's something that we'll see over the next couple of months. Realistically, at United, we can only judge it on what we've seen so far, and what we've seen is two fantastic wins where United were the better team. We're very solid defensively. If you want another video on that, let me know in the comments. But also very exciting on the ball, very proactive, taking the game to the opposition. And it's just been a lot of fun, which is why I've had this big smile on my face for the last 10 days, just because it's been great to watch. Hopefully this video has been great to watch as well. If it has, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because we are now finished for today. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this one, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.